Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Season 3. We are now Ronde and Tiki on Superbook Sports. Ronde, how awesome is this? Another year. Football's coming around the corner. This is exciting.
This is always good to be back. Always good that we've rebranded with Ronde being first. It's the only thing important here, right?
I'm Tiki Barber. This is my identical twin brother, Ronde Barber. I guess I should call you Hall of Famer now, Ronde Barber. As always, we're brought to you by Superbook Sports. You can go check them out. Sign up at superbook.com. We're going to give you some promo codes later on. You might want to use mine.
Promo code Ronde Barber. Hall of Famer Ronde Barber would work just as well, by the way.
No, it's just Ronde, dude.
No, it's like
How you churching
it's like when you get to be a doctor. Like you just keep it in front of it for the rest of your life.
We'll get to that a little bit later. But, Ronnie, I want to have this conversation that's starting to percolate around elite quarterbacks in the NFL. You used to never see movement. If you were a starting quarterback on an NFL team, you stayed a starting quarterback on that NFL team, usually for the rest of your career, especially if you're a Pro Bowl type. But movement started to happen. We saw it first with Kirk Cousins. Then we saw it with Tom Brady. He goes down to Tampa. We see Russell Wilson leave Seattle after many years, ends up in Denver. And now, I guess this is the biggest one of all, Aaron Rodgers, after 17 years or 18 years, whatever it is, in Green Bay, he's now a New York Jet. Why is this happening now?
I would say, I don't know if that's the biggest one. I think the biggest one, to be honest with you, was the best quarterback or the most winningest quarterback of all time leaving New England and coming to Tampa. I think that was the biggest move because it was unprecedented. There's just no way that Tom Brady should have left New England to come to Tampa. But he did, and he stayed for 3 years. And a team that was downtrodden for about a 10, 12-year stretch goes to the Super Bowl goes to the playoffs 3 years in a row and wins the Super Bowl in their first year. So it feels unprecedented, but I think history will tell you that it's not. There's been other quarterbacks that have changed. I mean, obviously the glaring one is one when we were playing was Green Bay when Brett Favre left and also came to the Jets. But to answer your question, to me, I believe it's the economies of the position versus the return that you're getting for the position. And I look at the one that we're talking about, that everybody's talking about this year, being Aaron Rodgers going to the New York Jets, and they needed to move on, right? It didn't become economical for them to keep Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay and not win championships.
And it's interesting because at the end, just like with Brett Favre, the Packers, the fans, were ready to move on.
Yes. Right?
They were ready to kick Brett Favre out the door. We want to see Aaron Rodgers. And the same thing's happening again. As crazy as it is, 2 MVPs a couple of years ago, the Green Bay fans are saying, Aaron, see ya. Kick you out the door. We want to see Jordan Love. It's bizarre. But from a Jet standpoint, I think they knew they had to go all in. The Jets have perennially been an underperforming team. Yeah, they had those couple of years when they went to the AFC Championship game, but it quickly fell off the cliff again. And so in desperation, I guess is the right word, they go seek an upgrade. They bring in Nathaniel Hackett, who we love, as the offensive coordinator. They get his guy who he helped win 2 MVPs, and Aaron Rodgers. And the Jets are all in. Now, sometimes all in works. A lot of times it falls way short. I think the Rams are the best example of it working. But there's so many examples of it not working. How do you see the Jets with Aaron Rodgers, and does it move them enough forward to compete? I mean, the AFC is tough. Do they compete this year?
Yes, and I
don't mean for like the division. I mean for a championship.
And let me go back real quick. Some of these movements, you mentioned Russell Wilson earlier in Denver. That wasn't a move to go all in. That was actually, I don't know what that move was.
I think it was Russell Wilson wanted to leave Seattle because he wanted to win an MVP. He wants to be the man.
Right.
He wants to be that elite quarterback that everybody talks about as one of the top 5 of all time. And he wasn't going to get that handing the ball off in Seattle 30 times a year.
I was actually looking for a clever comment to classify Russell Wilson going to Denver, and I still can't find it. But the reality is the Bucs were the first one to go all in. They went in Tom Brady. They had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. They had went out and got Gronkowski. Mm-hmm. They went all in. They had a great defense that year, and Bruce Arians and that team sold the farm, which ultimately is coming to roost 2 years later, to win a Super Bowl. Los Angeles Rams, the very next year, did the exact same thing, right? Went out and got Odell Beckham Jr., traded for Matthew Stafford, sell the farm. They already had Cooper Kupp. They had a pretty decent defense that was able to hold them up, but they had an explosive offense. They sold the farm to win the Super Bowl. The downturn happened immediately for them.
Yeah.
They were one of the worst teams in football last year. The New York Jets are positioned right now, if you ask me, to be not only a favorite, but I give them a high chance, a probability of winning the AFC and going to the Super Bowl this year. Because one, I think they're a better team on paper than the Buffalo Bills. They're certainly better than New England.
Mm-hmm.
The Miami Dolphins are what they are. I don't know that Tua is going to be the.
Oh, he's got to stay healthy.
He's got to stay healthy. I was going to say I don't know if he can stay healthy for a full year for them to get there. But yes, you look at what they have on defense. I think what the New York Jets have seen over the past 2 years is that they have an elite defense. They have Quentin Williams in the middle. I mean, he's unstoppable. Well, go watch this dude play, and you're like, this is a future NFL Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Can't talk about C.J. Mosley at middle linebacker, and then Sauce Gardner, D.J. Reed, Jordan Whitehead. They went out and got Chuck Clark, but he got hurt in the offseason. Their secondary is stacked.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they have a chance to be good on defense. It's good on defense as they are on offense. And then they go get Aaron Rodgers. They sign Alan Lazard. They sign
Randall Cobb.
Cobb back. But I mean, and they have Garrett Wilson. Have you're up here. You know how good Garrett Wilson is.
He's going to be special.
If I was putting odds on the best receiver in the NFL this year, it's Garrett Wilson.
Oh, especially with Aaron Rodgers.
With Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, he is going to be the best receiver. In
So
football this year. Yes, they are going all in to win this year.
It's really interesting from a New York. Obviously, I do New York talk radio, and the hype is unreal, right? And it started with the speculation that he was going to come here, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to execution. And this is the only reservation I have about the Jets. I think in total,
offensive line,
defense, special. The only thing I worry about is the offensive line. Now, Aaron Rodgers is not young, and I know he's still athletic, but he's not going to move a lot.
Hey.
And Mekhi Becton is not your starter, which currently he is not.
No,
Dwayne Brown hasn't practiced yet.
Yeah, Turner.
Max Mitchell was bad in the preseason, and Billy Turner, who's kind of a journeyman.
You know what you're going to learn to appreciate a little bit with Aaron Rodgers this year is his spectacular throwaways. He's the best arm in football, quickest release. You're going to see how quick he gets rid of the ball when neither one of those tackles are blocking for him. You're 100% right. It's why Nathaniel Hackett needs to build his offense around hopefully a healthy Breece Hall. Obviously, we know they went out and signed Dalvin Cook, which I think is a sneaky, awesome signing for them. They have some other backs that I think are pretty good. Michael Carter is a kind of a third down back. Zenovian had a great year last year.
Yeah, Bam Knight.
But this team has to be centered. It can't be just go to the well with Aaron Rodgers and see how he can win a football game for us. They have great defense. They don't need to turn the ball. They don't need to put themselves in a position to turn the ball over by having a quarterback get blasted all day because of bad tackles. Find some balance in offense. I don't see why they can't.
Is this a model that's going to persist in the NFL before we take a break?
Right.
Is every team that feels like they're close now going to sell out completely to go get that quarterback, whoever that quarterback may be?
Yes, I will 100% say that. And you know why? Because you're paying quarterbacks so much money right now that you can't build your team otherwise. You have to spend money on a quarterback, either one you've developed or you go get one, because your roster can't stay together for long enough anymore.
Yeah, that's the one thing we talk about, these teams competing and trying to win a championship and then falling apart. The Jets are so young everywhere. This actually feels like it could be sustainable if Aaron Rodgers plays more than 2 or 3 years.
I'll give him 2 years. That's it.
2 years, and that's it. All right, there's another group that is not getting paid at all, and it's troubling, especially considering I used to be one of these guys.
And it's not cornerbacks.
Ronde and Tiki on Superbook Sports. We'll come back right after the break. Hey, Ronde, you hear that? That's the sound. You hear that sound?
No, man, I'm reading my prop bets right here.
It's the sound of football. It's coming back, dude. And now is the time to place your preseason bets in New Jersey and the other states where Superbook is available. Superbook is the most trusted name in Las Vegas. And if you use promo code Tiki
or Ronde, do I get to read any of this?
If you want to, but I'm doing it because I'm the one in charge here. Win or lose, Superbook will match your first bet up to $250 with promo code. I guess we can go Ronde right now. Superbook.com for terms and conditions. You got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Again, promo code Tiki
Or Ronde.
All right, welcome back to Ronde and Tiki on Superbook Sports. Tiki Barber alongside my identical twin. I guess I'm going to stop saying identical twin. People know we're identical twins. My Hall of Fame brother.
Ah, there you go.
Ronde Barber.
Classified correctly.
All right, running backs are so disrespected. Like, you need a good one. If you have a good running back, you know it. And you utilize him, whether it's Nick Chubb in Cleveland, Christian McCaffrey now with the San Francisco 49ers, Derrick Henry, who's maybe one of my favorites. You know why? Because at the end of games, when you know he's getting the ball, he still hits his head on the goalpost.
Right.
That dude balls, even when everybody knows he's about to get it. Saquon Barkley, my guy in New York. But there is one position, and I don't know this empirically. I don't know if the number actually matches up to this, but I know it feels like this. There is one position that is not tracking monetarily with the growth of the salary cap. We've seen it with quarterbacks. They're making $50 million a year. Wide receivers are making $20+ million a year. Tackles are making that much money. Cornerbacks are making a ton of money, et cetera. Even kickers are accelerating with the growth of the salary cap. The running back is not. Now, we know why it is. It's because there's not a ton of top salaries, right? Because the franchise tag is based on the average cap hit of the top 10 salaries in football. And so
At the position.
So if you have, 12 guys, say as a wide receiver, making $18 to $22 million, that franchise tag is going to be up near $18 to $20 million. But if you're a running back, the top 10 is like 16, 12, 12, 8.
I got it right here. 16, 15, 12, 12, 11, 10, 10, 10. So you get to 8 and you're in 10.
Yeah.
9 and 10 are 7.
Exactly. So you take that average.
And that's Dalvin Cook, who's on the street until
yesterday, like 2 days ago.
A couple days ago, and James Conner for the Cardinals.
So just
older.
Do the math. The math tells you that there aren't enough high-paid running backs to make the franchise tag high. Therefore, when you as an agent start negotiating with a team, it always goes to the franchise tag because that's the perceived value of the position. And the franchise tag is $10 million. It's kind of stayed stagnant forever. So how does this correct? Or does it ever correct?
It doesn't, because this is more than a numbers conversation. There's way more nuance to this dilemma for running backs.
Enlighten me.
Than the number.
Enlighten me.
Number one is look at the Super Bowl teams. I hate this argument because it's so stupid, but it's true. Look at the teams that have won the Super Bowl the past 3 years and tell me who their starting running backs were.
That's a great point. I mean,
Kansas City.
Yeah.
Rams.
Yeah.
Bucks. Kansas City. Who are their starting running backs?
I don't even know who started in the Super Bowl.
It doesn't matter.
It's Isaiah Pacheco. It was the Rutgers kid.
Do you know who they weren't?
Who?
Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones. Those are the top 5 paid running backs in the NFL right now.
And it was also skewed by the New England Patriots, who never really. I mean, they had a featured back.
Right.
LeGarrette Blount was one. They've had guys, but it wasn't a high-paid superstar running back.
But the reality of this situation is the conversation we had right before this: quarterback money. So you can only pay the percentage of money going to the quarterbacks is so far ahead of any other position on that side of the ball. Just talk about offense. That if you're going to pay somebody, you're going to pay the quarterback. You're not going to pay the running back because there's so many options, so many. I hate to say that running backs are devalued, but.
Well, because they're not. Because if you have a good one,
right,
you're going to utilize them. You're just like the Giants do with Saquon, just like the Browns do with Nick Chubb, just like the Titans do with Derrick Henry, just like Kyle Shanahan is now exploitive with Christian McCaffrey. It makes his offense so dynamic. So you need one.
Yes.
But you just don't want to pay one.
But
why I don't understand that side of it.
Because I think the colluded mentality of ownership and general managers is that you can find the next great one in the draft or somebody that maybe is undervalued. That one person that can have a great year. Like I look at a guy like Austin Eckler in Los Angeles, the Chargers. He's making $6 million on average, right? Is that team the same without him?
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I don't care who the other guy is. I don't know who their backup running back is. I haven't done that deep of a dive yet. But he's not Austin Eckler, right? But they need him. They certainly need him. But they're not trying to pay him because they think that whoever that next guy is can get at least a little bit of that same job done.
Joshua Kelly.
4th
round pick.
Right. I don't know who Josh Kelly is.
3 years ago.
Right. I don't know who Josh
exactly.
Kelly is. So is it a problem? Yes. The economies of it is a problem because of what you said. There's not enough highly paid running backs. And if I could put my finger on one reason why, it's because their instance of injury and the disposability of the player.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing. I know Austin Eckler is interesting that you bring him up because Austin Eckler was not a first-round pick.
No.
Austin Eckler wasn't a second-round pick, not a third-round pick or fourth-round pick or fifth-round pick or sixth-round pick or even a seventh-round pick. Austin Eckler was a college free agent.
Yes.
In 2017, Ronde, 2017. So how old is he? He's 28 years old.
Right.
So while he's arguing to get paid, he's proving the case against the running back that you can find a guy literally off the street out of college and throw him in and he can become one of the most valuable players for your franchise. And because he's a free agent, he's cheap. Therefore, you can pay the tackle. You can pay the quarterback, Justin Herbert, who just got broke off, or I forget what that number was, but it was ridiculous. You can build the defense. So the proof is in the examples of the guys who have actually made it. Now, there's the outlier running back like Saquon Barkley, who's a top 5 pick, he's top 2, and he produces. But a lot of these guys don't.
Right.
And, I mean, hell, I was a second-round pick.
Think about it this way. I'm just looking at the cap numbers of running backs right now. And the Atlanta Falcons have a 21-year-old Bijan Robinson at $5 million. Their starting running back last year was a converted wide receiver, Darrell Patterson.
That's right.
Also at $5 million. And they're talking about positionless football, and any of these guys can end up in the backfield. Like I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what Arthur Smith is doing. But how are they looking at that right there? They have 2 players that can play multiple positions for the same cap value as a Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, that's right. And it's 2 for 1. You're 2 for 1, basically.
Right.
2 guys at $5 million who are going to be so valuable for the Falcons for the price of one, Saquon Barkley, or Dalvin Cook, or Tony Pollard, all these other guys that are on this franchise tag. I don't see an easy solution going forward. And so when I was asked about this, really about Saquon, my only response was he has no control.
Yes.
The only thing he can control is to go ball and be great and hope
he's still not getting Christian McCaffrey.
No, he's not. But
Nobody's
hope
getting
that the Giants, out of loyalty, say, okay, we'll pay you for past performance and we'll give you XYZ bonus.
Good luck.
But here's the real problem with this. If you walked into a grocery store, there's this perfect, beautiful, so well-tasting loaf of bread, and it costs $5.38. Are you going to go get that piece of bread, go up to the cash register and say, man, I'm going to give you $8 because it's so good? You're not. You're going to pay the $5.30 for the loaf of bread.
You're not perfect. You're not purposely inflating your value of the bread.
And that's what's happening with the running back. I know you're amazing, but I only have to pay you this. Yeah. Therefore, you're going to get paid this.
You just solved the problem.
Yeah.
There is no solution.
There is no solution. But it makes it really hard to think about what running backs are going to have the best seasons. When you think about statistically,
Very true.
Or usage rate, or fantasy wise, like it's almost impossible to predict what's going to happen every year with the running back group. It's probably the only position group that you're just kind of confused on. It's a tough hustle, and I feel bad for running backs, but
good thing you played in the 2010s.
Exactly. I mean, I mean, as crazy as it sounds, I've been retired for 16 years, bro. Austin Eckler is making about $500,000 more than I was. That's 16 years ago.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That puts that in perspective.
All right, there are a couple of teams that we think are going to come out of nowhere and be a contender. We'll hit that on the other side. Hey, Ronde, you know what the most trusted name in Vegas is?
It says Superbook right there on your reader.
It's definitely Superbook.
Okay.
And you know why? Because they give you the opportunity to score up to $250 with a first bet bonus. Win or lose, they'll match your first bet up to $250. And you know what the promo code is?
Ronde.
No, it's actually Tiki. Do you think Aaron Rodgers can perform at an MVP level? Do the G-men have a chance to go deep? What the hell is Tampa going to do this season? You can find it all on the props on Superbook Sports. Go to superbook.com, download the app, and place your wager today. And you get a $250 first bet bonus when you use promo code
Ronde.
Tiki.
Come on, man.
Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Promo code Tiki.
Ronde. All right, welcome back. Tiki relinquished the hosting duties to the Hall of Fame cornerback Ronde Barber and my less accomplished, more popular twin, Tiki Barber.
Hey, that's me, man. You know how it works. Ronde and Tiki on Superbook Sports. We promised you those promo codes. We're going to give them to you in a second. Ronde, every year there is a team that feels like they come out of nowhere. They don't actually come out of nowhere, but it just feels like they come out of nowhere. I guess in some ways the Philadelphia Eagles were that team last year.
Good point.
Even though you, when we were doing the show last year, correctly predicted that they would have a great season.
You know, the only reason I do that is so they get off my back about ruining their childhoods.
Oh, you mean the guys that booed you at the Super Bowl when you were announced as a Hall of Famer? Come on.
I gave them a shout out in my Hall of Fame speech.
That was solid.
That was solid.
But you were kind of trolling them. So I don't know if it was solid.
It wasn't trolling.
But I think there are a couple
Quit gaslighting the hate on Philly, man. I don't need any more of that.
It feels like there are a couple teams that every year just surprise you. And I have one, and I think you have one. I'm going to start. I look at the Cleveland Browns, who were bottom of the North last year, and I can't help but look at the talent and say, that's interesting. Yeah. Especially offensively. Amari Cooper is their starting wide receiver. He's a stud. They just traded for, or they acquired Elijah Moore, the cast out from the Jets.
Good player.
Right? Cedric Tillman, who was kind of like Jalen Hyatt for the Giants, fell in the draft, but he was a stud at Tennessee. They drafted him in the 3rd round. Nick Chubb, who we've talked about already on the show, is 1,500-yard rusher for the Browns team, so they have the balance. And then the X factor is Deshaun Watson. Now, Deshaun Watson, we all know his saga and his drama, and we won't rehash any of that because he's now back and as a full player. But I think we've forgotten, because of all that went on with him, that in 2020, his last real full season in Houston, he threw for 4,800 yards.
Yes.
Almost 5,000 yards, which is hard to do. 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions.
And that's during a season in which they traded his best receiver.
Yes, and they were terrible. 4-12 that season. This was back in the 16-game season year. They were terrible, but he threw for 4,800 yards. I mean, he's a candidate, kind of sneakily, for offensive player of the year, comeback player of the year, leading the league in passing. Like, if he returns to who he was and he's comfortable and they have all these weapons around him, I think that he could surprise people, and the Browns, by extension, could surprise people. Nobody's talking about them.
Right.
Nobody's looking at the Browns and saying this team can compete for whatever. Now, it's obviously the AFC, and we know how stacked the AFC is with Kansas City and Los Angeles and Baltimore.
Well, just the North.
Just the North, exactly.
Just the North.
But let's also not forget that Myles Garrett is
Right.
on the defensive side of the ball. That Grant Delpit is a safety. He's 23 years old. He had a fantastic year a year ago, right? The talent. Denzel Ward is there. He's 25 or 26 years old. They are young. They are aggressive on both sides of the football.
Yeah.
And I honestly think they might surprise us this year.
Not only on offense, yes, because of the Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson and Mari Cooper and Donovan People-Jones, all these outstanding players on offense. They just signed Jim Schwartz as their new defensive coordinator.
That's right.
So you think about Myles Garrett and Dalvin Tomlinson, who's a great interior defensive lineman for them.
Former Giant.
Right. And they signed Juan Thornhill to play free safety. They have 3 really good corners. Denzel Ward is probably top 10 corner in the league, and then Greg Newsome and the second-year kid Martin Emerson. Like they don't have a weakness on that side of the ball, right? The only question is, and this is my question, is Kevin Stefanski a good enough coach to take all this talent and win with it?
Well, we'll find out. So Alex Van Pelt is the offensive coordinator. Stefanski
my
and
guy.
them work together.
Yes.
And I don't know if they're in that Shanahan tree, the Mike Shanahan tree, but they have the talent to
I
be.
should know this. I don't have any idea what branch they are.
I don't either. But
I should know that.
they have the talent
Right.
to be in that type of offense that's spread out, that's explosive. And we all know this because statistics will tell you that if you have big plays, that is 20-plus yard plays, especially through the air, you're 3 times more likely to score touchdowns.
And that's Deshaun Watson.
And that's Deshaun Watson.
when he's good. All right, let's talk about my team. Also in the AFC North.
I'm telling you, the North might be.
We're going to be dead ass wrong on both of these because the
Yeah, but the Bengals are in that division.
Bengals are in this division, and
Baltimore
Baltimore might have the best roster in all of football. That's
a great point.
With that being said, my surprise team is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, but Baltimore's not a surprise, and Cincy's not a surprise.
No.
If they're good, you're not surprised. I
No,
mean, hell,
but-
Lamar Jackson played, 9 games last year? They won
Yeah.
10 and went to the playoffs.
Right. So earlier in the year, I was thinking about who could be surprise MVP candidates, and you don't do the list is what it is. Everybody that has the shortest odds, you don't want to pick them because that's not any fun.
Yeah.
My surprise NFL MVP player was Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett?
All
Why?
right, he had a terrible first year. Like
Okay.
he's
a rookie.
He was second worst rating in the NFL at 76.7. I don't know how many interceptions he threw earlier in the year. But once he got around to starting in the last month of the year, his last 4 games, he threw 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception, and he bordered on the spectacular. Like, the kid has something, and I'm not sure what it is, but he has something about him that says he could be the next Aaron Rodgers, like the next, not Pat Mahomes, but this guy that can create out of nowhere. You just go back, watch some of the games. You'll see it.
Yeah.
You'll be like, oh, wow, okay. That was somebody else playing quarterback who was much more popular. You would say that was the best play of the year. But he's got Freiermuth, tight end, the Pickens the Pickett to Pickens combination, a wide receiver to his favorite wide receiver, is spectacular. And if Najee Harris can be more efficient running the football, their offense is good.
By the way, Mike Tomlin loves that guy.
Why shouldn't you love that guy? Why shouldn't you? TJ Watt on defense. Herberg out of Wisconsin. I did his first preseason game. He absolutely emaciated the Bucs offensive line. They go out and sign Quan Alexander, Cole Holcomb, guys that play linebacker. And of course, they drafted number 1 Joey Porter Jr. playing second. Like, this team is
By the way,
much
I love
more.
that drive.
Is
I
much,
love that draft
Is
pick.
much more complete than people think. So if you're talking surprise teams, I think it's Pittsburgh because I think the quarterback's taking a step. And I think the offense will be a little bit better this year. And if TJ Watt obviously stays healthy, this team is significantly positioned to not only give Mike T another winning season because that's all he does. Who wants to bet on that? Is Mike T going to ever have a losing season?
I would guess no.
I'm going to say
Because
no.
if he didn't have it last year,
Yes.
he's never going to have a losing season. They were terrible at the beginning of the
How
season.
many years has he been in Pittsburgh? I bet you people don't understand this. Have any
15?
idea? 17.
Wow.
He's been in Pittsburgh for 17 years.
Wow. That's
As a head
longer.
coach.
That's longer tenure than Cowher, right? Because Cowher was about
Pittsburgh fans don't hate me. I have no idea.
It's whatever. It's a long time.
It's a long time. They've only had 3 coaches in their history.
Yeah.
And so they've obviously all been there a long time. But 16 years without a losing season.
All right, you heard it from the Barbers. The AFC North, it's one to watch for the good teams and the ones that aren't going to be. So, well, we don't know if we're going to.
That we think are going to be
Yes.
better than they are expected
It'll
to
be black and blue for sure, once again. All right, come back. One more segment, then we're out of here. All right, last little segment here on Ronde and Tiki on Superbook Sports. We got to do a wager. Let's do a prop bet, Ronde.
All right.
I'm going with a running back.
Okay.
There are lots of great ones in the NFL.
Really?
No, they're not really. There's lots of really good. There's a couple of really good ones. There's 3 or 4 great ones, and everybody else is just kind of around. But there is a rookie who I have my eye on.
Okay.
This kid at Texas came from the University of Texas, and he was a stud down there in Steve Sarkisian's offense. He got drafted by the Atlanta Falcons. His name is Bijan Robinson. We talked about him a little bit earlier. His number to lead the league in rushing. This has not happened since Ezekiel Elliott did it with the Dallas Cowboys back in 16, 17, whatever year that was. Bijan Robinson's plus 1,000 to lead the league in rushing. Most rushing yards by a running back. Bijan Robinson plus 1,000. Now, Nick Chubb probably is going to get all the carries, and he's the shortest odds. Derrick Henry's up there as well. Saquon's in the conversation.
Josh Jacobs not going to play this year.
Josh Jacobs is not even in camp right now. But Arthur Smith in Atlanta is, I think, going to innovate in a way that we haven't seen yet. And Bijan Robinson could take advantage of that. So give me Bijan plus 1,000 to lead the league in rushing as a rookie.
All right. I'm not going to argue with that because, I mean, what other rookie running backs have the opportunity to do that? I don't think there are one.
No.
There isn't one. I mean, there could be some out of nowhere. But all right, mine, 18-1, Garrett Wilson to lead the league in receiving yards.
Okay.
Look, Justin Jefferson, we know what he is. We know what Tyreek Hill is. Devontae Adams. I'm not going to bury the Raiders again, but not quite sure. But Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball to Garrett Wilson. I was out at Jets practice when they scrimmaged or, joint practice with the Bucs the other day. Dude, this is going to be one heck of a combination of quarterback to receiver. Not only is he quick and shifty and fast, when he gets in the open field, you cannot touch him. He is unbelievable with the ball in his hands. So,
Yak, yards after catch.
after Aaron Rodgers catch, not Zach Wilson catch.
I mean, he was rookie of the year with Zach Wilson as his quarterback. So what
And
the hell?
and Mike White.
And Mike White and Joe Flacco. What's he
Right.
going to be with Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, boy.
Anyways, all right, that does it for the first episode of Season 3 of Ronde and Tiki on Superbook Sports. Be sure to go to superbook.com. Use a promo code, and you can get a $250 first bet bonus.
That promo code is Ronde.
Come on, it's Tiki.
Either
Tiki.
works.
Now, if you do that whole Ronde Hall of Famer, that's my title like a doctorate, it's not going to work. So just do Ronde. Better yet, do Tiki. Anyways, appreciate you guys listening. We'll be back in a couple weeks.
The Ronde and Tiki podcast is produced by Superbook Sports. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Colorado, Maryland, Nevada, New Jersey, Ohio, and Tennessee. In Iowa, call 1-800-BETS-OFF or visit 800betsoff.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342.